I'm Drew Lindgren. I was diagnosed for the second time 10 years ago with DCIS. I have no family history.
Hello, I'm Nikki. I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma and I have no family history.
Hi, I'm Alex Clemmer. I'm a breast cancer survivor and I have no family history.
Hi, my name is Mike Larivere. My mom passed from breast cancer 40 years ago in 1981 at the age of 31. We had no family history.
My name is Greta Monahan. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019. I have no family history.
Hi, my name is Heidi Milne. My father had male breast cancer, and we have no family history.
Hi, I'm Ellie McDonald. I am 26, and I am a breast cancer survivor, and I have no family history.
Hi, I'm Wendy Watkins. I am a breast cancer survivor, and I have no family history.
I'm Alice Silva. I'm breast cancer survivor, and I have no family history.
Hello, my name is Ben Shockey. I lost my mother to breast cancer when I was 15 years old. She had no family history.
I'm Scott Kelly, and I lost my wife Tricia to metastatic breast cancer. She had no family history.
It's time we find the cause.
Wow, what a powerful way to start our program and a good reminder of why we are all here to support Find the Cause. I'm your host, Shayna Seymour, co-anchor of Chronicle on Boston's WCVB5. Welcome to the 18th annual Find the Cause celebration and our second virtual event. Although we can't gather in person quite yet, we are together in our vision to prevent breast cancer. The words and emotion that come from those who have been impacted by breast cancer underscore the significance of the work of Find the Cause to find the environmental causes of one of our greatest health challenges, breast cancer. Despite the billions of dollars that have been spent on research and treatments, only 7% of funding goes towards prevention. Find the Cause believes that the only way to eradicate this disease is to prevent it in the first place, leaving a safer world for future generations. You can help by participating in our silent auction or by making a straight donation on this website. Now let's hear from Find the Cause Executive Director Caitlin Mosier-Ellis.
Welcome, and thank you for your generous support in what has truly been a challenging year. That hasn't slowed the work of Find the Cause, though. This past year, Find the Cause Breast Cancer Foundation's educational webinar programs have doubled their reach into both corporate and social settings, engaging and educating more people than ever before. Find the Cause scientists, who you'll hear from in a bit, provided their expertise in community education webinars on topics like PFAS in your water and vaccine efficacy. Education that is critical to overall health and prevention. Our key focus always remains on breast cancer prevention research and funding the incredible work being done by the Find the Cause Labs Consortium. This is what will ultimately make the big difference. Last year, with your support, we were able to distribute over $350,000 between the 4 scientific research labs. This has helped accelerate scientific advances at a rate once thought impossible. You have made this happen, and we are so grateful.
Thank you, Caitlin. The mission of Find the Cause Breast Cancer Foundation is to fund scientific research with a laser focus on finding the environmental causes of breast cancer and to educate the public on its prevention. Much needed funds are raised to support a consortium of 4 world-renowned research scientists based right here in Boston. Their work is vital to our health, the next generation of children and their children, so they don't have to experience what our good friend Carrie Capasola did following her breast cancer diagnosis. Here's her take on why this effort is so important. Carrie?
My name is Carrie Capasola, and this year marks the 20th year since I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I remember meeting with my surgeon for the first time and him telling me not to worry, that I had a 97% chance that the tumor I had found would be benign because of my young age and the fact that I did not have any family history. I also remember where I was when the phone call came a couple weeks later and him asking me if there was anyone at home with me so that I wasn't alone when I heard the news. I think he was as shocked as I was to learn that I did in fact have breast cancer. Yeah, so I did what I had to do to ensure that I would be around for my babies, who were 1 and 3 at the time. I went through chemotherapy and I lost my hair, and I listened to Helen Reddy tell me I was invincible every day for 6 weeks while I went through radiation, and I took tamoxifen for 5 years. And at the end of all that, I went to my doctor and I asked him what I could do to ensure that my cancer wouldn't come back. What about barbecued food? What about red meat? What about all the pesticides being put on lawns? Were those things I should be avoiding? And he said, we don't know a lot about that at this time. We know that generally speaking, exercise is good and a lot of alcohol is bad. And so I prayed, I did all that, and I prayed that I would get my kids through elementary school and high school and on to college. And I'm so grateful that I was able to see my son graduate college this past year. I've seen a lot of advancements in treatments over the past 2 decades. Therapeutics have become available that have extended the lives of metastatic breast cancers, and all of that is super exciting. But what I haven't seen is any real movement in the world of prevention. And it's frustrating to me. I don't know any more now than I did then about what I can do to avoid certain things in the environment or in my body to help me be healthier. I remember my daughter when she was a young girl and saying to me, "Mommy, since I grew in your belly, does that mean that I'm going to get breast cancer too?" And I said, "Oh no, honey, I don't have that kind of breast cancer." And I thought to myself, how can I assure her that she's not getting breast cancer? I don't even know where mine came from. The fact of the matter is, the vast majority of us who have been diagnosed do not have a genetic mutation. We deserve to know more about what the risk factors are that we can avoid. I am very optimistic about the work that Find the Cause is doing. I think it's critically important to support the consortium of scientists so that they can find out more about what's going on in the environment and what we can do to prevent a breast cancer diagnosis. I want my daughter and her generation to be more empowered to take care of their health in a preventative manner. I think they deserve that. So I thank you for being here and for joining me in your support of Find the Cause. Thank you.
So that's why we are here, so that women like Carrie no longer have to hear the words, "You have breast cancer," and so that Carrie can answer her daughter's questions about how likely it is that she will face the same diagnosis. Our goal is to end the rising number of breast cancer cases, and we plan to do that through research and education. What powers Find the Cause are the contributions and support received by all of you. You can contribute by participating in our silent auction or by making a straight donation during this program. Oh, wait, this just in, RJ Kelly Company and Newmark's Capital Markets Group are teaming up to offer a dollar-for-dollar match of the next $50,000 raised during this program. Isn't that incredible? Thank you to RJ Kelly Company, along with Newmark's Capital Markets Group, for this amazing challenge. To learn a little bit more about how Find the Cause works, let's take a quick look at this video.
It's really easy to motivate yourself to study breast cancer. 40,000 American women die from breast cancer every year. That's like filling a baseball stadium with women every single year.
About 10% of people have a genetic or family history. 90% do not.
The idea of the consortium was to bring together 4 experts in a geographically close area to really attack this issue of breast cancer prevention. Find the Cause is one of the few places where you can go where the money goes directly towards finding out what causes these cancers and finding a way to prevent them from happening in the first place.
The major thing we're working on, funded by Find the Cause, is that we're trying to develop a method of detecting when a person has been exposed to a carcinogen.
My research is done on computers. We're mining large amounts of biological data, looking for patterns that can be supporting is whether chemically carcinogenic or not.
There's 84,000 chemicals out there in the environment, and we know almost nothing about whether they're carcinogenic. So if you learn something about one of them or two of them, specifically how they work, then you can go back and implicate several of the others in the class.
One project that would have not have been at all possible without their funds, and that has been in the area of immunology and the connections between immunology and breast cancer formation. This was something that was completely initiated through the funding and the support from this foundation, from Find the Cause, and without it would not be able to be in a position today where I'm trying to apply for grants and applying to try for larger investments because of the initial experiments we were able to conduct with the support of Find the Cause. Private foundations are really the lifeline for biomedical research in this time.
Somewhere between 50 and 80% of the breast cancers could be avoided if we can really identify which of these chemicals are causing the cancers, for one, and for two, making people understand that this is something that is doable. It's not impossible. It's not unsolvable.
Without money and funding from Find the Cause, we would not be able to do this project. And I think this is the seed money, and the seed's going to grow a big tree.
All of these efforts are made possible through the generosity of our sponsors. So let's take a minute to thank the Lindgren family, R.J. Kelly Company, the Schawbel Group, and Tricia and Tom Wynn for their generous support, and to recognize this evening's event co-chairs for their hard work and dedication. In fact, let's hear directly from them, Carla and Rick Griffin and Trish and Tom Wynn.
A diagnosis of cancer affects the whole family, and too many of us know the heartache it brings. We can all do something to help, and that's why we're honored to be co-chairing this event and to support the work of Find the Cause.
Scientific research is expensive, but critical to finding the causes and ultimately the prevention of cancer. Corporate sponsorship is a game changer for the crucial work being done in the labs and the success of the Find the Cause mission. R.J. Kelly is proud to support the research of the consortium. We stand with Find the Cause.
Together we can make a difference.
My family and I have a very strong reason to support the Find the Cause Breast Cancer Foundation.
When I was diagnosed with breast cancer with no family history, I have to say we were very shocked.
When we learned that only 7% of NIH funding went to the prevention of breast cancer, we had to step up.
The Find the Cause consortium of scientists focuses solely on the prevention of cancer, and we're excited to bring you today their update.
We invest in the science and technology of the prevention of breast cancer to protect our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come.
And all this is done in the labs of our amazing scientists as they accelerate to make breakthroughs. And you are going to hear about those today.
Well, thanks very much for that introduction. Let me take a second to explain our goals and why we even have a science consortium. Find the Cause has basically two main goals. One is to educate the public about the causes of breast and other cancers. And the second is through scientific discovery to, well, find the causes. With regard to education, about 9.5 million people worldwide die each year from cancer, which is about twice the number of people who have died of COVID over the last couple of years. The World Health Organization estimates that the number of people diagnosed with cancer is going to double in the next 10 years, which means we can't treat our way out of that. And we don't have to. The best estimates are that somewhere between 65% and 90% of all cancers are caused by some environmental factor. But that means that most cancers are preventable. Ironically, even though prevention is orders of magnitude cheaper than treatment, the world still spends the vast majority of cancer research on the treatments, which is fine. But with your donations, what we'd like to do is to balance the scales a little. And that's exactly what Find the Cause is trying to do. Now, in the second goal, we're trying to find the causes of cancer and ways to prevent it. So today you'll hear from the four of us that lead the four laboratories in the consortium. You'll hear a little bit about how we might be able to identify cancer before it happens, and then to intercept it. The idea is that nobody will have to come home from a doctor appointment and say, honey, I have cancer. So Charlotte and Stefano will tell you about how we're developing technologies to identify each of the 85,000 chemicals registered by the EPA in our environment, which ones are the bad guys. Eliminating all of those chemicals would be considered primary prevention. And in the last year, we've been expanding our focus to secondary prevention as sort of a backup. Gail and I will tell you about how we're trying to use what I would call mid-21st century molecular technologies to determine when someone is about to get cancer, and then to intercept the cancer with what you could fairly call a cancer prophylactic. So let's start with primary prevention, trying to find which of the chemicals are the bad guys. So Charlotte, let's start with you. Since we can't do experiments with chemicals on people for good reason, in the last year, you've invented a very cool, might I say, wicked cool, three-dimensional model of breast cancer. Can you describe that a bit?
Sure. So what we were trying to do is develop a model in culture where we could actually grow human breast tissues and then expose those biomimetic tissues to chemicals and actually screen whether or not these chemicals have endocrine disrupting functions. We can do this because we can actually take cells from women who undergo reduction mammoplasty surgeries. So these are healthy women, but they choose to have their breast tissue removed or lessened for a number of reasons. It's normal, healthy tissue. And we can take that and extract the cells from it, and we can put them into this hydrogel, 3D hydrogel platform, and it will grow mini breasts in a dish, so to speak. We know that these breast tissues are sensitive to hormones, just like human breast tissue. And so now we can actually use this platform to screen all the various chemicals that are out there to assess whether or not they have endocrine disrupting functions, very much like BPA and some of these other ones you hear about. And this will actually help us figure out, on a cellular and tissue level, whether or not there's a relationship between the chemical and endocrine disruption. And it ties beautifully into work that Stefano is doing, looking at the molecular signatures of chemicals, the cells in response to those chemicals.
Really cool stuff, Charlotte. And I think the reason why this is really important is because it gives us a tool for screening these things possibly very rapidly and finding the bad guys. So that's a big step forward. It's a perfect segue to Stefano's work about chemicals that can change physiology. Stefano, do you want to tell us about some of those environmental chemicals?
Yes, thank you, David. And yes, I agree with you. It's Charlotte's work is very exciting and is so synergistic with my work. And together we really could be able to screen and identify very quickly and very effectively carcinogens and other basically chemicals that have adverse effect on our health. So that's very important. And so I'm very excited about it. But I'm going to tell you now about actually a study where actually we are characterizing a different class of chemicals that are called obesogens. Chemicals that basically, by altering your metabolic balance, may predispose you to gain weight and therefore may predispose you to metabolic diseases such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and ultimately cancer. Identifying these chemicals can be challenging. And myself, together with a colleague at Boston University School of Public Health, took a data-driven approach where we use machine learning for profiling more than 60 chemicals with known effect, obesogens and non-obesogens. And we trained a computer model to be able to distinguish between the two categories, between what is an obesogen and what is not. And so we were able to do it successfully, and we published these results. And again, the design of the study, so the previous study was about carcinogens, the new study is about obesogens, but together these two studies provide a recipe for how to screen large number of chemicals and how to identify those chemicals that may have adverse effect on our health.
Yeah, it's awesome. Every time I hear you talk, I have to ask you, how did you get so much done during a pandemic?
As you know, the silver lining for us, computational biology, is that computers don't get COVID. And again, these studies allowed us to gain understanding of breast cancer, its causes and its mechanism, and therefore to advance basically the mission of the consortium. Our analysis identified a subpopulation of cells that, if activated, contributes to worse breast cancer prognosis. This is important because not only will enable us to predict how breast cancer patients will fare after diagnosis, but also will reveal some specific immune programs that need to be enhanced to generate a killer immune response. And this clearly dovetails with the work done by both David and Gail and Charlotte. In a second study, we performed a large-scale computational analysis over more than 20 cancer types, and then zoomed in on breast cancer. And for this analysis, we used what is called network analysis. Think of the analogies to a social network, where the node represents individuals, and the nodes with most connections represent individuals with a lot of influence, the influencers in today's parlance. Well, our network analysis identified multiple influencer genes in breast cancer, and some that had not been identified before. That is, genes that, if activated, for example, by chemical exposure, might increase your cancer risk. Or conversely, genes that, if targeted by drugs, might have therapeutic value.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Very high dimensional stuff. Very cool. So, so we've been talking a little bit about primary prevention. Let's talk a bit about secondary prevention. And there's two components to this. First, you have to be able to identify changes that are going to happen before you actually get cancer, so you can tell when things are about to go bad. And the second thing is that's no good unless you have a way to intercept cancer and come back and deal with it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that now. Gail, why don't you start by talking about the model system and the experiments you're doing to be able to predict when cancer is going to happen?
Thank you. I'd love to. So I'd like to tell everybody about a mouse model that the consortium is using to tease apart all the events that happen between the exposure to the carcinogen, taking a cell that's normal and having it transform into a malignant cell. And the model is one in which we take mice and we treat them with a carcinogen. And the overall goal of my aspect of the work is to identify markers that are diagnostic of when a person has been exposed to the carcinogen. And this will allow us to develop an assay to look at real time when a person has been exposed to a carcinogen. It will detect people at risk when hopefully their exposure has been minimal. In this model, mice are treated with a carcinogen. And at day one, which is just after the exposure, there are very early events, but basically due to the activation of a receptor, which is the AHR. And the AHR sits in the cytoplasm in a situation where it's inactive. And when the carcinogen comes in, the combination of the receptor and the carcinogen, it can move into the nucleus where it becomes activated. And as a result of this activation, there is a whole sequelae of events that happen with changes in gene expression, potential changes in DNA structure or the chromatin structure. And then what we've shown is there is also a switch in the synthesis of a group of transmitters called microRNAs. And these microRNAs are expressed in a cell, but they could be released from the cell. And they can go from the breast, they can go to the blood, through the blood to such organs as the liver, it can go to the immune cells. And the idea is that we will be able to see all of these events. And David has been working specifically on the immune response, and he's gotten a fantastic story that he'd like to tell you about.
Now we're beginning to move into the interception part. Okay, what are we going to do about this thing that seems to be changing and becoming cancer? So basically, all of you out there have had cancer at one time or another, and hopefully most of you never knew it and never got it eventually because your immune system killed it. So with Find the Cause support, we've been trying to figure out why the immune system gets beaten, how it gets beaten by these cancers. And it turns out that many of these environmental chemicals will activate this receptor that Gail was talking about called the AH receptor. And they can do this because, unfortunately, they mimic endogenous chemicals, so things that the body makes itself that are designed to suppress the immune system just a little bit to keep you from getting autoimmune disease. So there's a good reason for them to be there. Unfortunately, the cancers have figured this out, and they make bucket loads of these compounds that the environmental chemicals mimic. and those things suppress the immune system at multiple levels by activating this receptor. So what do you do about this? Well, one thing you can do is either is to inhibit the receptor with some kind of a drug, or to take the whole receptor away with some sort of genetic manipulation, basically trying to take the brakes off the immune system. What we've done is both of those things. So we've developed inhibitors of the AHR. This is the AH receptor that is immunosuppressive. And in the model Gail was talking about, this is the model where we start with a carcinogen. And by the way, the carcinogen is something that we're all exposed to all the time in ambient air or cigarette smoke or probably e-cigarette vapor. And in this model, you give this carcinogen and then things happen over time. What we found was that there's a certain point before the cancers actually come out where you can find some molecular changes that say something is about to happen. And it's at that point, it's before you'd ever see anything that resembles a precancer. At that point, we started treating the mice with this drug, this AH receptor inhibitor, and found that we could reduce the numbers of cancers by about 50%. So basically, you're talking about a cancer vaccine that is a kind of a prophylactic. 50% may not be good enough, even for a first-generation drug. The second part was even more dramatic, which was instead of trying to inhibit the receptor, we did some genetic manipulation, gene editing, and took this receptor away from the malignant cells. And what we found was that if you took these cancers and eliminated this receptor, 0 of the mice that we challenged with a full-blown malignant cancer, gut cancer. So these mice became 100% immune to these cancers. And we think that's a pretty dramatic result. And we would never have been able to get to this kind of result if we didn't have the money from Find the Cause. Now, just going forward, we're using a brand new technology that allows us to see what's going on within the tumor itself. So we know that there's an immune response going on because the mice are immune, but we don't know which of the 30 different kinds of immune cells are involved, who's talking to whom, who's actually killing the malignant cell. So we're using this, it's called imaging mass spectrometry, and it can identify up to 36 different types of cells in a cancer in 3 dimensions. So now we have this high dimensional readout where we really can see who's talking to whom. Why is that important? Well, it begins to tell us what these environmental chemicals are doing to suppress the immune system. It tells us where's the weak spot in the cancer, and that would be the immune system. Once we can bypass these inhibitions, we can get the immune system to attack the cancer. And we think we can do it with technologies like Gail is developing and some of the things we've been working on, and some of the results that Charlotte is getting to be able to tell when's the right time to start treating these people prophylactically. So thanks very much.
What an incredible exchange of information on the science of prevention, and congratulations to all the scientists, Find the Cause, and to all of you for the incredible breakthroughs in the labs over the last year. That is why we are all here, to create a safer future for generations to come. You can help by participating in our silent auction or by making a straight donation. And we know that every dollar you donate during this program will be doubled by a generous match by R.J. Kelly and Newmark's Capital Markets Group. Now I'd like Find the Cause board member Ed Westerman, followed by the chairman of the board of directors, Michael Lindgren, to present Bill Schawbel with the Corporate Champion Award for going above and beyond to support the science of prevention. Bill Schawbel has been a longstanding and generous supporter of Find the Cause, and he is accepting the award on behalf of the Schawbel Company. Hi, Ed and Michael.
It's appropriate that tonight we honor the Schawbel Group and Bill Schawbel for their dedication to Find the Cause, which has been long-standing. When I first shared with him about Find the Cause, he immediately stepped up, and since then, his contributions continue to grow. Bill's guidance and his support of the consortium over the years has helped bring Find the Cause to where we are today, on the cusp of incredible breakthroughs in cancer prevention. His commitment to the organization has been tremendous and made a difference. All of us at Find the Cause could not be more grateful.
Find the Cause is so grateful to the Schawbel Group and to Bill Schawbel for his generosity and financial commitment to our mission. As we've heard from the consortium earlier, it is by increasing the funding for scientific research that we will identify the causes of the growing number of cancer diagnoses and ultimately prevent cancer for future generations. On behalf of the Find the Cause Board of Directors, it is truly an honor to present this year's award to the Schawbel Group.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Ed. I believe strongly in the mission of Find the Cause and the work done by its consortium of scientists. Their decisions to cancer prevention, combined with the financial support they received from Find the Cause, is accelerating research at a pace that was at one time totally unthinkable. Maintaining this rate of progress takes sustainable support from both the personal and corporate sectors. On this occasion, I'm very pleased to announce a 3-year financial commitment to Find the Cause, which, together with the support and donations of many others, we can impact cancer prevention research for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Bill, we are grateful to you and the Schawbel Group for your service and commitment to Find the Cause. Your efforts make a difference and change lives. Wow, what a program. Thank you for joining Find the Cause, supporting the mission, and learning more from their bright and talented consortium of scientists. Please bid in the silent auction for another 2 hours. And if you haven't already given, there's still time. Don't forget, our match will double the value of your donation. To our sponsors, a heartfelt thank you. Your support allows us to build a better and cancer-free future for generations to come. You can still donate to this effort or place a bid in the silent auction. While we hear a few final words from the Find the Cause consortium scientists on how much they appreciate your generosity.
The funding from Find the Cause allows us to do something we'd never be able to do with NIH money. You know, Silicon Valley likes to talk about success being a result of making a lot of mistakes and being wrong a lot. Make as many mistakes as you can. You can't do that with NIH grants because there's no comeback. But with money that we get from Find the Cause, we're able to take guesses, and we can be wrong 2 or 3 times. Then when we're right, it's a significant advance, and that's just not possible with any of the other traditional funding sources. So I'd just like to say that on behalf of my lab and myself and all the people who may never get cancer, because eventually we find ways to prevent it, thank you to all the donors.
This past summer, my niece contacted me about the fact that she was just diagnosed with breast cancer. And I have to say, I am so tired of hearing about women getting breast cancer, and I would personally like to put a stop to this in some way, and that's what motivates me. I would like to say thank you, Find the Cause, for all of your support.
It's a problem, right? I mean, I don't want to sound the quote, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? But that's really what motivates me. I mean, there's a problem. There's a major problem, and we have to step up and help fix the problem. And that's what motivates me to do what I do is, help to fix this problem. Thank you, Find the Cause, for your support and also for a compelling reason to think outside the box and push the boundaries.
Everybody watching this knows somebody that's had cancer or they have cancer themselves. We're all sick and tired of it. So what motivates me is that this is solvable. I mean, this is not an impossible thing. It may be harder than rocket science, but it's not undoable. We can do this. So that's what motivates me to go in every day, and especially working with my colleagues here to try to solve this problem that is solvable.
My heart is really into prevention, and this interest in prevention originates from really my desire to address what I perceive as an imbalance in our healthcare paradigm. Everything is devoted to care, how to fix the diseased individual. And I feel like we need to change this focus. We do not need to neglect caring for patients, but we definitely need to increase our focus on prevention. I'm so grateful to Find the Cause and its supporters, meaning you. Thank you. Find the science and find the cause.